Have you ever agreed to something, only to find out later that it came with extra requirements or costs? Picture this: you're buying a car, excited about the deal you've sealed, only to be told later that taxes and extra fees weren't included in the initial price. Or maybe you've signed up for a gym membership, thinking you'd only be exercising, but later found out there's a mandatory nutrition class. This is not a coincidence, but a well-known psychological technique. Welcome to the world of the low ball technique. This is a fascinating tactic, a compelling dance of persuasion that we often encounter yet rarely notice. So, what exactly is the low ball technique? It is a powerful psychological approach that was first identified by social psychologists Robert Cialdini and Joseph Cacioppo. In essence, the lowball technique is a negotiation strategy where an advantageous offer is presented. The unsuspecting individual, finding the offer too good to refuse, agrees to the initial request. That's when the magic begins. The terms of the deal are then subtly changed, making it less favorable for the individual. Yet, the individual, having initially committed to the agreement, often sticks to the decision despite the changes. Consider this scenario. You're at a car dealership, and you've just agreed to buy a car at an attractive price. But just as you're about to close the deal, the dealer tells you that the price was only for the basic model. The model you want, with all the features you need, is a bit more expensive. However, you've already mentally committed to buying the car, and so, despite the change in terms, you proceed with the purchase. So the low-ball technique is a persuasive strategy that gets individuals to commit to something and then changes the terms after they have agreed. The low-ball technique, it seems simple, but it's incredibly powerful. This technique has found its way into many areas of our lives, often without us even realizing it. Let's dive into some examples. Sales and marketing professionals have been using the low-ball technique for years. They offer a product or service at a lower price to get the customer to agree. Once the customer is committed, the price is increased or additional costs are revealed. Despite the change in terms, many customers stick to their initial commitment, driven by their desire to remain consistent. The low-ball technique isn't only confined to the business world, it can also be found in our interpersonal relationships. For instance, someone may ask you for a small favor, and once you've agreed, they add on more tasks. Again, your commitment to the initial favor may lead you to agree to the additional requests. What makes the low-ball technique so powerful? It exploits one of the fundamental principles of human behavior: our need for commitment and consistency. Once we've made a decision or taken a stand, we feel a strong urge to stick to it, even when the terms change. This is because consistency is seen as a desirable social trait, and we subconsciously want to maintain our self-image. The low-ball technique taps into our desire to be consistent with our commitments, even when the terms change. And that's the fascinating power of the low-ball technique. So, what have we learned about the low-ball technique? We've journeyed together through the intriguing world of persuasion, and at the heart of our exploration was the low-ball technique. This strategy, born out of the field of social psychology, is a powerful tool that can covertly influence decisions and actions. The low-ball technique, in essence, is a commitment-based persuasion tactic. It begins with an attractive offer that's hard to refuse. Once commitment is secured, the deal's terms are subtly changed, typically making it less appealing. Despite this change, many people stick with their initial commitment, illustrating the remarkable power of this technique. We've traced the origins of the low-ball technique back to the seminal studies of psychologist Robert Cialdini, who first put a name to this compelling phenomenon. His experiments showed how the low-ball technique could be used to influence individuals into agreeing to requests they might have otherwise declined. Furthermore, we've seen the low-ball technique in action across various domains, from sales and marketing to negotiations and everyday interactions. This technique, while ethically ambiguous, is undeniably effective, and understanding it can be a crucial skill in navigating these arenas. Next time you find yourself agreeing to something, be aware of the potential for the low-ball technique. Stay informed, stay savvy, and keep your commitments on your term. We hope you found this video informative and enlightening. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Have you experienced the low ball technique in your life? Maybe you've noticed it in action during a sales pitch, a negotiation, or even in casual conversation. Share your experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and learn from your insights. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with your friends and family so they too can stay informed about the intriguing world of persuasion. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video. Thank you for watching. Remember, stay informed, stay savvy, and keep your commitments on your terms.